How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Pan Geekery Podcast, a weekly live video podcast celebrating all things geek from an all diverse perspective. As you can tell, I was not ready because I was writing something, but that's okay. What we're going to do today is talk about film, TV, video games, all the cool things, covering all the nooks and crannies of fandom. My name is Earl Balon. I'm an actor improviser based in Los Angeles, California, and I have never watched all of Cowboy Bebop.
I haven't either. But anyway, hi, I'm Jennifer Zhang. I am an actor, writer, sometimes artist, and I have never watched all of Cowboy Bebop, and I also haven't finished Avatar yet either. Ooh. I'm watching it for the first time.
Oh, hey guys, my name is Caitlin Fay. I'm an actor, writer, singer, and a director. And okay, I feel like I act like I've seen all of Cowboy Bebop, but I've probably seen like 80 to 90% of the episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few I haven't seen, because they're episodic, so you can kind of just with it. And I haven't even seen anything from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm not a geek. I'm a fraud, but I will soon. I will soon. I'm very much looking forward to it. No, I've seen the first 3 episodes. What am I saying? I've seen the first 3 episodes.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Walter. I'm an editor, camera operator, and I have never seen all of the Trigun series.
Vash the
Stampede. Vash the Stampede.
Most of it, but I haven't really completed it.
No.
I haven't seen any of that either.
Oh, it's a great series.
Really quick, what's up to everybody in chat? Hello to Aaron Nabis. Hello to Angfernal. Thanks for being here, guys. It's
what up, y'all?
Y'all are lit. I don't know what I'm saying right now. Anyway, we've got a few things going on today. We are going to be talking about Westworld. I'm sorry.
Walter wishes.
I'm ready for that.
Walter wishes.
Watchmen episodes 3 and 4,
so many W's.
As well as Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, episode 6, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So just a few housekeeping things. First of all, we do have a new Discord server. If you're not part of it, we'll put it in the chat so you could hit us up there and interact with us on the Discord server, as well as see our streaming schedule. Speaking of streaming schedule, our stream schedule is all on our Twitch page. They've got they're changing everything around on Twitch. So they've got things in different tabs. You have to search for it, but it's on there. Do hit us up in the chat, like I said earlier, and we'll get to your questions as soon as we can. Other than that, that's what we're going to do today. Watchmen season 1, episodes 3 and 4, and Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, episode 6. So without further ado, let's get into Watchmen episodes 3 and 4. What did y'all think?
Ladies first.
Hey.
Should we introduce what happens in there as I illuminate? Yes. Okay. So we have an introduction to a new character, right?
Right.
A new female FBI agent who
Laurie
is
Blake.
Laurie Blake. And already the name Blake, for those who know the original Watchmen series, should ring a bell. There's like a clue, right? And then later, since we're talking about 3 and 4 together, she is revealed to be the comedian and Silk Spectre's daughter, and second lover of Dr. Manhattan.
Right.
Because
so
Dr. Manhattan, she was, sorry, go ahead.
The second Silk Spectre. So
the second Silk Spectre, yeah.
Yeah.
And Dr. Manhattan had a relationship with both her mother and herself. Which is weird.
Ew!
Really disgusting, but that's canon. And so she seems to know a lot about the police force. She seems to know a lot about Angela's identity already. She seems to know about the old man, and she even knows where to look with the new True, right?
Dr. True.
Dr. True.
Lady True.
Right?
Lady True.
So she seems to know a lot about her as well. And we also find out perhaps, or indeed, Angela's grandfather, who survived the Tulsa Massacre, is in some way getting help from Lady True for his exploits. She is perhaps his friend in high places. But yeah, that's what I took away from it. What did you take away from it, Caitlin, as far as recaps go?
Oh, I think you did a pretty adequate recap. I don't think there's much for me to recap there.
What about
sorry, go ahead.
What's his name? Why am I blanking out on his name? Obsidian.
Who?
The girl, help me out here. Yeah.
Voight? Voight?
Voight. There you go.
Voight?
Yeah, it's like
Dr.
German,
Ozymandias.
Yes.
Ozymandias. Yeah.
Not Dr. Ozymandias, just Ozymandias.
They finally reveal him as, like, explicitly state he's Ozymandias.
Yes.
And,
okay. Gotcha.
And he actually puts on the costume on, at the end of episode
Jeremy Irons.
3.
Yeah.
It's also revealed that he's been the way in which he's been growing his little cloned human beings is like fishing them from a lake and then spinning them in some kind of aging centrifuge until they become fully formed.
I will say that the largest suspension of disbelief is coming from like the Ozymandias stuff, because it's
really is. Everything else I can kind of buy. But this, it's so weird because the show, I think, is they're trying to do this thing where the technology is a blend of past decades. But this is some straight up science fiction, almost like magic realism. Yeah, type thing. It is. It kind of reminds me of kind of like steampunk.
It is,
yeah. Which makes sense because Alan Moore did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But I can't help but feel like maybe I really should read the original comics. I think it'll inform me more, and I'll just get it more.
There's one thing that is like this series. The series is actually it seems more grounded to the original graphic novel than the movie was, because
I believe it. Yeah.
The movie left out certain things. I'm not going to say what they left out, but they left out certain things that are mentioned in the series. So it's interesting to say the least. The way I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Ozymandias is supposed to be one of the smartest people alive. Did you all notice, by the way, the joke that Agent Blake tells? She's just recounting the Watchmen.
Yeah.
She just talks about Night Owl and then Ozymandias and then finally Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
But
each one of them approaches God and she condemns each one of them. And then she refers to herself as a little girl who throws a brick up in the air to kill God themselves.
Which is also a reference to a brick joke. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah. Oh, you mean a joke from Brick the movie?
No.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The fact that she brings back the little girl and the brick is in itself a brick joke. Do you guys know what brick jokes are? A brick joke is it's basically like a joke where it's like
like you kill the first joke and then you just
and then or like the joke never really ends or whatever, and you bring
that's what
back.
she does,
which is what she
I thought that was so clever. She made a brick joke of a brick joke.
Yeah.
It was nested joking.
Yeah. At the very end, she says "good joke," which is a reference to what Rorschach says when he tells the joke about Pagliacci being the clown, right? So there's like
a lot of Easter eggs in the series in general.
Well, I just love even the opening of episode 3, right? Like the bank robbery, and then she takes on. It's basically Batman. She just took down.
I was like, Batman.
He's like, alternate universe Batman.
Yeah.
Who Night Owl was anyway. So
she's a great actress. I don't know if I've seen her in anything else.
I don't remember where I've seen her.
Oh, she's in a lot. Yeah.
What else is she in?
Incredible.
She's incredible.
I like her a lot. I like her character
good. Wow.
She was from.
She has this way of she slowly blinks. It's kind of like a cat.
Well, you can tell how confident she is.
She's oozing confidence.
She was from a lot of 80s sitcom stuff.
Really,
Jean Smart.
What a great name.
Yeah. She's really big in the 80s and for some sitcom stuff. Yeah.
She plays this dramatic kind of like misanthropic role very well, and it's like she's the weird lady.
I love her.
That lady is so weird. It's so true.
her backhanded like quips. They're funny.
No fucks given. She doesn't give a shit. Yeah.
Can we just talk about this funeral too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
It's the funeral
So much to unpack.
of Judd, right? The police chief who was hung up to his death by Angela's grandfather, or as he claims, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like a masked Rorschach wearing person, 7th Cavalry person, came in and basically said that his heart was strapped up to a bomb, and that if they didn't procure the senator to him, he would blow everybody up. Thankfully, Laurie Blake shoots him before he does any, like,
in the face,
in the head,
whatever
in the
damage,
head.
Splattering his brains all over the senator.
No fucks given.
Angela was able to like roll his body into the grave and contain the bomb blast.
That was
miraculous
so
in a matter of seconds.
Yeah,
but that was like a classic Captain America thing to do. It's like, away, get away, get away. You know what I mean? Classic Captain America.
And then go ahead.
No, in that moment, you could see like the camera pans over to Lori, and she's just like, "Okay, I get it. Like she's a good cop, kind of maybe. You know what I mean? Like some amount of respect, like respect plus 2, like registered in Lori's eyes.
There's a great, just like kind of contentious respect between them two that gets built. At
I believe it, and I think that's fascinating.
In the coffee scene afterwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When Angela goes, and that's all she had to do. And she was just like, so epic. I love it.
Dude, I love these two women.
They're badass.
These two women in scenes together.
Yeah, I love how she was like,
I could watch them forever, but I could watch them for fucking ever.
And then she was like, I thought he was bluffing.
Wait, which part? Which part?
She thought the guy was bluffing about the bomb strapped to his heartbeat.
She's like, suicide bombers are like this, rarely ever actually take the time to wire it to their hearts.
Yeah.
Just because, he does, you almost wonder like where, what his connections are up top.
Oh yeah.
No, of course. Yeah.
Seeing it a second time, I will say I caught a couple of other things.
What did you catch?
Well, I can't say it because it'll reveal.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Small, minor details jumping on top of like what are his connections to the 7th Cavalry. Right before the coffee interaction or during the coffee interaction, they were like, "Oh, he burrowed himself like with some kind of mechanism for miles into this place
some kind of drill,
in the cemetery, right? So that's one clue.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, but it seems like he has resources too, just some kind of high tech structure,
I totally forgot.
And Lori knew about the hidden room in.
Lori knew that she took something from the hidden room, and that her father also had something.
She explains though, like kind of through extrapolation. It's not like she has somehow like.
Right.
Because she asked, I think what it is to show is that she's so sharp. Nothing really kind of goes past her. She asks all the questions she needs to ask. And from there, she can deduce what's the most likely.
Yeah. And she makes them talk. Like they're just hypotheses to her. And then
she allows them to spill their own secret, by kind of intimidation tactics.
I mean, the thing about it is like, you kind of forget, like she's been doing this for a long ass time.
For a while.
Yeah.
She's a Silk Spectre.
Decades.
She's dealt with like, she's dealt with people on like a whole other power levels. This is like, this is
small fries.
Small fries. It's pedantry.
It's interesting that like, after I didn't even realize this like as it was happening, but when her new little, protege goes like, oh, she's the daughter of comedian and Silk Spectre, like finally solidified it for me. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because she wouldn't be as old, and Silk Spectre is gone, right? The original.
Her mother's dead.
Yeah. Her mother's dead. Yeah. So like it registered to me like the way she was laughing, because like comedian is in some way kind of like a Joker who is fighting on a more like chaotic neutral, maybe sometimes good, but sometimes also bad kind of side. Yeah. Whereas like
true neutral.
Whereas like Joker himself is like chaotic evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I feel like they're like linked in some way because they both like find the hilarity of chaos and injustice in the world, right? Mm-hmm. So like when the cars fall out of the sky because of the joke that Laurie says to Dr. Manhattan about throwing the brick and having the brick come back down.
Yeah, and kill.
She's laughing, in my opinion, she's laughing because she feels like this is Dr. Manhattan's way of saying, I got your joke.
Definitely. This is something,
I thought she was so relieved that, he was even listening at all.
But it may not be him. We don't know. We don't know exactly how involved is he with this thing, because it could also be Lady True.
It was Angela's car, and when her grandfather was
and her car too.
They took her car. So, and we know that her grandfather Will is with Lady True right now, who has access to these like spacecraft type drone things.
Right.
So I'm sure Walter knows the answer.
We don't know if there's
we don't
any connection between her and Dr. Manhattan or anything. So there's a lot of assumption at this point, like who threw the car down. But
can I say, like, when I go into episode 4 and then the reveal of like Lady True, right, and their whole facility, I was just like, oh wow, this is cool. Like, you know, the Vietnamese American actress. Well, just in the character and her assistant, the young girl with the glasses, and I was like,
her daughter. Her so cute.
So cute.
And I was like, oh, these guys are awesome. Like, just acting wise, I thought they were great. Also,
they were great. They're great.
Yeah,
very good. Very good.
Yeah.
She's a trillionaire.
And there's this entire.
Excuse me, I'm a trillionaire.
But she has this scene, right, where she negotiates with a very, like, you know, lower middle class, like Tolson family, the couple who has owned, like, you know, a big amount of acres on their farm, perhaps like down on their luck, but they have access to a house, and she like leverages them with a genetically like.
How did she make that? Did she like
because
steal?
She was saying that like a decade ago they had gone and deposited their eggs there, and they were trying to farm things.
She took
that material, probably is what I'm guessing, and made a baby.
Did you guys catch that symbolism like at the beginning with the eggs? First of all, there's like the motif of eggs throughout the show. I wonder what that means. Is that harkening to the original?
Legacy.
It changes.
I see. Okay.
It changes every episode. Depending on, like, if you look at the very beginning of the episode when they have the title Watchmen, it's always a reference to what the theme of the episode.
Sure, but there was also
happened to be eggs. So,
but there was also eggs. Yeah, there was eggs in the second episode, and then there was eggs in the fourth episode too.
Right.
Because Will, the grandfather, he's like making an egg. Remember, and then Angela's husband is like making eggs, and when
they're egg farmers, and
the eggs fall and crack, so it's like, oh, her eggs were defective. I'm like, what does that mean?
There's something about fertility
with the fertility in eggs.
But like Lady True explains it herself when she comes in. She's like, I can offer you legacy because you guys, your legend dies with you. You know what I mean? But like, I can take your farm right now. That's what I need. But I can give you progeny.
Speaking of Lady True, what's up with her daughter and the nightmares?
Yeah.
Like, does that mean something?
I have an idea.
Her hooked up to an IV.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
In the same way that she celebrates Vite, right? Who like rears children
like a farm,
inorganically, organically ? I wonder if her daughter is in some ways produced the same way that she produced the farmer's child, and the same way that Adrian produces his.
I'm almost waiting for like us, to open up on like a vast emporium of clones of her daughter.
Jesus.
Well, they're probably I'm waiting for that too, prestige level. But prestige, while Tom York plays softly in the background. But I wonder, like, if these are in fact like inorganically created biologically correct human beings, how are they like programmed? Like what is like the baseline of programming for them? Because for Vite, they're like innocent, but they know that they're supposed to serve him, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was a section where they were talking about genetic trauma and genetic memory.
Yeah.
So I think that's their explanation.
Dude, that's so fucking smart.
See,
That's like, yeah.
Because she said, didn't she say something like she specializes in time? I could have sworn she says that at the beginning of episode 3.
Yeah, and like she's building a giant clock.
She's building a giant clock.
It's a giant clock. Her daughter's having dreams about like an army
Past
marching
lives.
them out of their village. I'm like, is she from the Vietnam War or something like that?
Right.
Possibly.
Well,
and then we have the whole thing about nostalgia.
Yeah, and the grandfather and the Tulsa massacre.
Living the other person's life.
Living the other person's life through nostalgia.
Yeah.
The pills.
Yeah. And Angela found her husband in Vietnam when they were fighting.
Right.
You know?
So we already know that you can condense memories into like some kind of physical thing and transfer it to another person.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that could be the case with a lot of things. It could be the case with the homunculi that that Voight is making. It could be the case with
the grandpa's pills, maybe.
The grandpa's it is the grandpa's pills.
His pills, right? Yeah.
His pills are specifically his memories.
Yeah.
Could be
Pensieve. A pensieve.
Like a pensieve.
Yeah.
Like a pensieve. Yeah.
From Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Or a or pensieve. Let's say that. There are a lot of things in my head, but like I'm not going to say it.
And Lady True, the actress's name's Hong Chow.
She was in whatchamacallit?
She was in Downsizing.
And she got nominated, right? For
she's great.
Nominated for Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
In Downsizing.
Yeah.
In Downsizing. Dude, I'm so glad she got her own she got like a more sizable role, I guess, in this series.
Well, I'm looking
at her big bad evil guy. No.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I'm looking at her IMDb now. So she's apparently in Homecoming. She's
what?
She's
like the latest seasons.
Yeah, Audrey Temple, 2020.
I thought you meant Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, no, Homecoming.
The Amazon series.
Yeah, the Amazon series. But she's also a voice in BoJack Horseman.
What did she play?
Pickles Aplenty.
I don't know if I'm that far. Pickles Aplenty.
I don't know what Pickles Aplenty
or the first season or so.
Yeah, back in 2018.
I'm on the third season. And what are your guys' thoughts about the show so far? Those of us who haven't finished the whole thing.
It's really good. It's very good.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I actually.
What
stands in stark contrast
to what we'll be discussing next.
What we're going to be discussing next.
In episode.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Here's
in stark contrast.
Here's one thing. Here's one thing, technically speaking, that I feel it does better than Penny Dreadful, which I think is worth noting of itself, which is that within each episode, because we know that these things are episodics and that these are considered like limited series almost, right? Yeah. Like where they span one season in a collection of episodes. Yeah. But within each episode, you want to, ideally speaking, as a writer or as a showrunner, want to have some form of like conflict that pays off, or you learn something rewarding and new that then builds upon the last episode and pushes you forward, right? Yes. So like with Watchmen thus far, we've seen like 4 episodes, and it definitely does feel like every block is like there's securely planted,
moving forward. Yeah.
And the little questions that you have, like little like machinations that they like feed to you in form of breadcrumbs. But you get
inklings of them.
They actually get revealed in a very rewarding way. Nothing is thrown away. You know? Yeah.
It's very like, it doesn't give you the entire story, but it leads you to make a conclusion where you're like, oh, it could be this.
Yes.
It
doesn't assume you're an idiot either. It doesn't feed you anything.
I do.
Whereas Penny Dreadful, it goes like, hey, look at all this shit it could be. And it's like, I don't know which one it is because you give no weight to anything.
I don't care. Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Because like right now,
agree.
Like episode 3 of Penny Dreadful, like, at this point, where were we?
You mean episode 6? I see.
No. When we were in episode 3, in
right.
comparison to Watchmen episode 3, like how much information did you have of Penny Dreadful?
I would argue Penny Dreadful actually started off okay and then started stalling in like around episode 3. Too.
Hey, yo, A Tribe Called Terran. Thank you for the host,
Thank you for the host and the raid.
Hey, what's up, Holly? Thank you for the raid.
Yay.
Thanks y'all
What
for
up?
being here.
What's up?
Yo.
We're talking about Watchmen episodes 3 and 4 right now.
Mhm.
Hello. But so I was pretty much with Watchmen, and then episode 4, I think I really set up
Right.
because now I like how we're following multiple characters, and they're all kind of part of this bigger puzzle piece. And I also like the elements when they do happen that are weird. Like, this is so weird. I never would have thought I'd see such weird elements. And I even go ahead.
They all have weight, which is the thing.
Yes.
They all have they're all stakes to each of these threads. They took the time to build these characters to a point where you cared about what they were doing.
Yeah.
Or what happened to them or what they choose to do. And and that's that is something that it has in stark contrast again to Penny Dreadful.
Right. Exactly.
I do think there is such a thing as withholding information for too long.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's absolutely.
Like, this is kind of
right.
This is why reading a series of unfortunate events frustrated me too much. Because that's why I was like, there's a difference between, like, withholding the information so that the audience can get the biggest amount of payoff, and then withholding information because you obviously don't really know the answer. So
I will argue that a series of unfortunate events, though, if you read his other work, he deliberately obfuscates like information just to fuck with you.
We can get into this.
Yeah.
We can get into this, but I'm just saying that it's a different style.
Episode right there.
It's a different style. But like, what is more rewarding?
Drama.
I don't know.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's
not necessarily rewarding, but I'm just saying.
Because that feels like it feels like a stunt. It feels like a gimmick.
It's a gimmick. It's his gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
but I'm saying
what?
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna obfuscate like any kind of answers
clarifying.
Clarifying it.
Because it's funny to him. For
right.
him. Not for everybody, but we're not here to go into that. So
I did shed tears I got teary-eyed at one point. I think it was episode 4. When Angela goes to the cultural center and is look at her family tree.
So good.
Yeah.
And then she kind of looks at this hologram of her grandfather
and speaks to him.
And she speaks to him.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just got emotional.
Well, I'll tell you why I got emotional.
Okay, tell us why. Maybe you'll agree.
Because I looked at that and that was that is something I don't have. I don't have a family tree. And I don't know.
I thought the same thing. Yes. See, I think that's also why I cried. Because I was like, I don't have a family tree.
And I don't know any of this stuff. Like, you check on ancestry.com or any of this.
You're not going to get it.
Nothing for us. Nothing.
Nothing?
And just to see some.
Yeah.
Right. There's a little bit.
Especially hard to get.
It's a lot of shit to fucking to troll through. And to see somebody have that or find out
is privilege. Yeah. Sorry, just saying it. I'm just saying, if your ancestors were on a more privileged side of history,
right.
Not just
you would find history.
She was an orphan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why she's so it's so heartbreaking, but also very touching at the same time. And I don't know why. It made me emotional.
It is. Yeah. I mean, any person in this room, in this Zoom call, if we went back even just one or two generations, you would find, you would find people on the edge of genocide.
I will say that I don't know if it's what was the word you just used?
Obfuscative.
No, just the privilege of some people to have records.
Records of history.
I mean, I think it's not. I wouldn't say privilege for some people, because there's people like ADOS, American descendants of slaves, they have that because of
granted,
records.
yes,
but necessarily not because of privilege.
It's not privilege.
Because of privilege.
It just happens that America and Western society was more into record keeping
colonialism.
Granted,
keeping it safe.
That's true.
It just happens in some Southeast Asian countries or other countries. Just either civil war or strife just destroyed the records,
or the Spaniards burning all of your records,
or Spaniards burning it.
I'm kind of like the,
and we don't know any of our actual last names.
Yeah, I'm the sort of the family historian for my family,
Are you?
Yeah, I've tried to kind of take that upon myself. We made a tree, all that stuff, and
I tried.
It's very much. I totally understand what you're saying, because we don't know anything past my grandfather.
World War II. Yeah, same here, man.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know anything. We try to find out where like Kuhudo is, like the name itself, and we just don't know
where to come from.
And then as I was doing more research, it's like you said, Filipinos, it's not really our real names,
Yeah.
My last name is definitely an amalgamation that the Spaniards created. That's why we don't even know how to pronounce it.
The Spaniards.
It's not our name.
Yeah. The Spaniards basically, for record keeping and to keep the populace in line to pay taxes, they said, you know what? We don't understand these names, so we're going to give them these names.
Our last names.
Yeah. Our last names. So that's what it is. So much like Angela discovers, she's trying to discover her roots, and that was like torn apart because of colonization, white supremacy. Our roots as well have been just taken away from us because of colonization and European dominance, right? So
it's true.
That's probably another like underlying reason why it was like really powerful for all of us, that scene,
right?
Yeah.
Because we don't have a history, honestly, not like that,
as in recorded history.
A recorded history,
but there's no that's
a recorded history that is not told by the colonizer.
Yeah.
Proper documentation.
Yeah. Dude.
Anyway,
I mean, I think this is really important, because this also ties in, like, you guys' group history and our group history ties into like maybe what Lady True is going to reveal about her history moving forward, and why her daughter, if she is like another homunculus, how she has.
That's my favorite word right now, by the way.
Homunculus. How she has these like, remembrances of a war that she is obviously too young to remember. So I think this does have to do with lineage. Like a lot of
that's another theme that's very strong.
It's another theme, clearly.
In Watchmen.
Yeah,
we're talking about people's daughters, generational pain, generational trauma.
Well, it all links up to what Dr. Manhattan talks about all the time, which is time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's all connected to time.
Yeah.
So
what does it mean? What are you saying, Walter?
Yeah. I want to call it back to Lori, because I think she is the most interesting character right now. Everybody is interesting. Here's the thing. Another contrast to Penny Dreadful. People are interesting and have subtlety in their decisions. Anyway, people are interesting. I actually want to find out more about them. I don't know everything that there is to know about them at first glance.
But like what you see is like
what
you see multi-dimension. Yeah.
There you go. But Lori in particular, it's like you can sense the bitterness and hatred that she has, like perhaps from her family. I mean, like from her protege basically reveals that like her biological father tried to assault her mother. Right. And yet they also had some kind of complex relationship where they produced her, so there's a lot of story in that, but that can't be the only case, right? Like she's a grown woman now.
There's clearly more to it.
There's so much more.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more.
Even down to the joke that she leaves to Dr. Manhattan, who used to be her lover, it's kind of like a vindictive, like twist of the knife of like, where are you when you have so many powers? Where was this hero when they had so many powers? They will be like led to testify for themselves at the pearly gates, because what have you to say for yourself with all the power that you had? So she's willing to call him now, but like I'm wondering what kind of person she's willing to be, right? Because she herself is also being a vigilante of sorts,
right?
Even though she's operating from the FBI.
Can we talk about that massive dildo that you pulled out of the?
I was going to say it was a massive dildo. Well, it looked like
it was a Dr. Manhattan dildo.
Dr. Manhattan dildo, yeah. I was like, holy shit.
So what was that all about?
Like, it's a Dr. Manhattan dildo.
Did he send it to her? Did he send it
I
to
think
her?
she probably had that shit fabricated.
It's like a collectible item.
She got it off Amazon, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you have to watch the movie and see how naked Dr. Manhattan is.
Oh, well, he's as naked as,
I mean, she clearly
like homunculi.
She clearly didn't need it because she went and slept with that PhD in history dude. Yeah, exactly.
I think that was like midway. She was like, do I have to do this? She was like,
do I really have to do this?
She's like, do I do the machine or
it's a dick next door? Exactly.
You know, the dick next door. There's a dick in a jar next door. Let's see crack that case.
Exactly.
Who do you guys think the guy, for those of you that don't actually know and haven't watched the full series yet, Walter, but who do you think the guy in the silver suit is? Because I thought for half a second that he was the protege.
Really?
I was thinking that too. That's a possibility.
Because he's like skinny, and then he was talking about skinny, like, you know, in this town, like we got to put on our just in case, like here's a mask, whatever.
It would be weird if she, whoever that was in the silver suit, does not show up later and does not. Oh,
he will. Thank God, because you know it's not Penny Dreadful.
Oh, sorry. Well,
it's not going to get dropped. There's a reason for it, I'm sure.
Well, I guess it would make sense that she's having her protege follow Angela around.
Right.
It would make sense. Yeah. He's also skinny enough to do like a slide.
Yeah, he like goes into the sewer, like
sprinkles lube on himself.
Like
it. I was like, what the fuck is he doing?
It's like it, you know, the clown.
Slide. I was like, holy shit.
Whoa, that must hurt your back though. God damn.
Maybe he has like a spine guard.
Rug burns.
Yeah.
Like
spine guard on.
That's why he put that special weight on himself. This looks really weird when I do that.
How do you put it on? Put it on.
Do it again.
It's like this. Because he did this with like speed bump.
He literally did this. I don't know how
Walter, do it too. Walter, do it too.
He shook it that.
Walter, you have to do it now.
You mean like...
Stab the dragons.
Stab the demon. He did. He went like this.
He's all
wow. Just wow. We have to clip that.
Oh Lord. Have mercy. Yeah.
Oh my God. But okay, so back to a serious note. What do you guys think Dr. Manhattan is doing though? Is he actually on Mars?
I think he's actually on Mars. Well, yeah, I know Walter knows.
I know nothing of Dr. Manhattan.
I think he's actually on Mars.
Again.
But here's the thing, man.
Is.
I think because he has control over time, or people say, like he could be anywhere. I think he's somebody that is one of the characters now. I think he's one of them.
Really? You think he's assuming the visage of somebody in the story?
Yes.
Dr. Manhattan?
Yes.
You think so?
Oh, I see.
I think so. I think we're gonna find out who he is, and it's gonna be somebody that we've seen.
So we already
might be Lady True, or we don't know.
I don't know.
I'm trying not to look at Walter's face.
Louis Gossett Jr.
I saw a spoiler online accidentally. So
oh no! Don't read it. Don't tell me.
No, I won't tell you. I won't tell you. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
why are you reading spoilers?
I didn't. No. It has nothing to do. No, when I'll explain later, when you guys find out, or when we all find out, you'll know why. I wasn't looking for spoilers.
Here's the thing. I learned this from reading, from looking up, Batman Begins, or no, the Dark Knight Rises. They'll put spoilers on the IMDb, you know.
Yeah.
And it'll seem innocuous, but they'll dual roll somebody, and then you find out what the reveal is.
Yeah.
On IMDb.
Yeah. So don't read anything.
Well, I mean, these days even Hasbro will freaking put out spoilers when they put out the action figure,
the toy. Yeah.
So you may as well watch everything at the time that it is. Meaning you have to buy the subscription. Meaning you have to get a PS5 immediately, apparently.
That's why they didn't do any Baby Yoda toys.
Well, yeah.
They didn't want to spoil that. They didn't want to spoil that.
Okay.
So that was why, nobody could really buy a Baby Yoda at Christmas.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Baby Yoda.
Well, anyway, talk about stark contrasts. It's probably, let's say this, like one thing I think that, gosh, fuck, Watchmen it's really hitting its stride for me, and I think I'm pretty excited to keep going.
I know, I'm excited too.
Same. I want to see where this leads.
Are we moving on yet, or can we just quickly?
Yeah, we're gonna. Touch on something. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to like elaborate on Dr. Manhattan since like Caitlin hasn't seen the original one, or maybe just like talk about like what kind of figure he is.
He's the only one with superpowers, actual superpowers.
He has like actual godlike superpowers of being able to move back and forth in time. He is able to fly.
Control matter.
He can manipulate himself. He can like phase shift, you know?
Yeah.
So, and also he has what approaches omniscience.
Omniscience, yeah.
Yeah. It approaches omniscience. And because of that, like, think about Scarlett Johansson's character at the end of Her, right?
Yeah.
When her AI reaches almost omniscience, she like chooses to unsubscribe from Joaquin Phoenix's character, right? Or she starts to pull away from like temporal
humans in general. Yeah,
she pulls away from humans in general because maybe something
leaves with all the other AI.
Yeah, maybe something about her knowledge like detaches her enough from this time and space, or the suffering of this time and space.
She has to move to the next level of existence.
Yeah, or she sees too many dimensions at once.
If you have that much
of any one strand,
if you have that much awareness, everything doesn't matter.
It ceases to matter.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So I can understand that Laurie has a lot of resentment for somebody who was revealed to be a god who is present on their planet and yet can do nothing to save.
Is Dr. Manhattan from Earth, or he's an alien?
Yes.
He is from
Earth.
From Earth. He
was human, and then an experiment made him into Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
And he's named Dr. Manhattan because he's like a science project, you know, like the Manhattan Project.
Okay, I really need to read these. How many volumes are in the whole series?
It's only one. It's only one graphic novel.
It's really good. It was the first comic that I read.
I think you can go to the public library. They might have a digital copy.
They do. It's like if you have, because I looked it up yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh no!
So,
okay.
What are we bacteria we are but bacteria to that kind of intelligence, says a tribe called Terran. This is true. It's a god amongst ants. So anyway, good shit for Watchmen. Can't wait to see the next episodes. Penny Dreadful, however, is slowly and surely
eroding at my skull
as we speak.
As we speak.
Are we transitioning into that now?
We are transitioning into Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, episode 6.
What
is this called? I don't care. What did y'all think?
It was like a CSI episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you mean episode CSI?
Yeah, it was all kind of just one story, and it took quite a while to get there.
Even to the confection.
I'm trying to remember. I was watching this.
My question, why are they introducing so much drama on this one plot point when there's so many other plot points that have yet to develop? More important plot points. Why are we wasting time with this plot point? I don't know.
Yeah, it's is the actual entire plot that simple that they actually just put in filler episods in between?
Are we talking about Tiago?
I don't know. Yeah, of course, because he was the only thing in the episode, you know, for the most part.
I can't remember.
It wasn't really filler. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was filler, but it wasn't. It certainly took its time.
It felt elongated, artificially.
Elongated.
If you took each of the strands of the storylines in City of Angels, right? Yeah. Which is Tiago's storyline, Peter Croft's storyline.
Who's Peter Croft again?
The doctor.
Dr.
Croft.
Dr. Croft.
Dr. Croft.
Yeah. The Nazi storyline with the city council member.
The city councilman. Yeah.
Right? And then none of these plots in and of themselves is that compelling. They're all like B plots to each other, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know why?
There's like 8 plots.
They're like distracting us from each other.
So many, yeah.
And they're getting away with being superficial. Sorry, just to finish. They're getting away with being superficial in every storyline because they have so many to tell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is like they're inherently weakened by the presence of Magda in each of the storylines.
Absolutely.
We called it from episode 1. Mm-hmm. What's the point of any of this crap?
Oh my god!
I mean, who cares? Who cares? Because Magna is OP.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like,
OP. Why are the stakes?
are the writers that brilliant? But by episode 9, but they're just gonna blow our brains off.
And I mean, that would be cool. Like if
that's how it connected.
Yeah, no, that would be tight. But I doubt
that's the only thing. That's the only little thread of hope that I'm holding on to at this point.
Nah, every time you watch a movie and it seems like how are they going to explain this? They usually can't because
it's too far gone.
It's too far gone. It's too late. Yeah.
I mean, it would be more redeeming if they left nuggets that actually felt like it could lead to the answer. In Watchmen, because Watchmen does that, you know, it leaves you enough clues to go like, hey, this was intentional. There's like other stuff that you're going to uncover later.
True. That's
right?
true.
Whereas like instead of like intentionally suspending you because they simply can, that feels manipulative and it feels hollow when there isn't even payback that builds upon itself from episode to episode.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was weird just having, what was it? It was only one scene, right? With Sister Magna and her mom. Sister Mary? Or
Molly.
Sister Molly with her mom. Like, it was just one scene, right? They didn't even like bookend it with anything.
Yeah, that was a weird scene.
Well,
it's like, I was lonely. I was lonely too. You know, of course I was lonely.
That's true.
And then the next time you see her, she's just singing. Yeah, that's the bookend of it.
It's so weird.
She was trying to show, we were wondering when we were reacting to it, like, why she only sings secular songs at church? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make sense. And I think the writers were trying to show that she's heartbroken over this love that she cannot have.
But that just,
so she's going to sing about it at church.
That somehow makes it less powerful.
It does.
Yeah, but this is Penny Dreadful we're talking about.
Well, I was thinking
what were you expecting?
When you were saying that during the reaction videos, I was thinking like, I mean, in the Christian churches I've seen or visited, like some of them like sing rock songs or Christian rock.
That's what I mean, but that's modern day. I don't think they would have done that at I don't know if they said exactly what type of church it is, but it looks like a cult. It's a cult?
It's their own brand of
then
so
I guess
it's not Christianity.
Then it's Christianity.
It's still Christian
probably
based.
some sort of base.
But it's so I guess technically they can get away with it because it's a cult, right?
It's their own, and then it's how they attract like people who are not interested in the usual Christian or Catholic stuff.
All right, I get it.
But again, now that we're at episode 6, we haven't learned anything new that we didn't already know or could figure out on our own. You know?
Right.
And we
did get that scene with the mom, and then when she confronts.
Yeah.
What was that?
That's it.
That was it though. It was just like her mom, stuff we already knew.
Yeah.
Mom obviously doesn't like it.
Magda, right?
Does she?
Or you're talking about Diego's mom.
Tiago's mom
going after the little brother.
Yeah. Going to the Pachuco's secret hideout and then them saying that she's not welcome there.
But then what did that?
It didn't actually accomplish anything.
The mom is such a non-entity now. I thought she was going to be
She was so cool. She was such a cool character.
Here's the thing.
I was ready to follow her.
I was ready to follow her. I have a sneaking suspicion, and I was saying this at the end of the React vid as well. I feel as though there's a conflict of interest in like the story or in the show running aspect, in that there's on one side, they have the need to tell this like neo-noir, like police force type story. And on the other side, they're trying to tie into like the culture of like Latinx people in Los Angeles at the time. And I think it would have been so much more powerful if they leaned into the culture of the Latinx community, because then figures like the mother, figures like Santa Muerte, figures like the actual mythology of Mexican Americans could be worked into the play. However, like without that, it feels lackluster. It feels like all the Latinx characters in the story are there for representational skin deep purposes rather than actually delving into like the cultural repercussions of betraying your family, what kind of rituals they have.
All that stuff gets glossed over.
It does.
It's just there for like decorative purposes, you know? It doesn't feel like the show is actually geared towards, or at least like truly understanding the cultural ramifications of being Latin.
And if you're a fan of Penny Dreadful or just that genre, you want some sort of supernatural thing.
Mythology.
That's why we're watching it.
Well, like I was telling them this earlier during the React video, it's like the showrunner of this show, I bet you they didn't even really care about Penny Dreadful. They just wanted an excuse to be able to write for Showtime. oh, by the way, it's a sequel to Penny Dreadful. You know what I mean? Because there's no hearkening to the original other than the fact that they hired Frankenstein, or the monster from Frankenstein as Dr. Croft. You know, like what is there? Nothing. This is not even the same
There's nothing,
genre.
yeah.
There's nothing.
There's the thinnest of threads.
But thinness, and even then, very tenuous.
And then there's this small thread of like trying to humanize the city councilman and like background to the Nazi surfer dude.
Which is very ironic, which is because they're having a gay relationship. And he was like, oh yeah, and all these like negative names about like people of color, negative names, blah. But he's like, oh yeah, and I loved reading Mein Kampf and all that. And I was like, great, so you read about yourself also being included in that list? Because why are you here?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
It's weird. I don't know. Anyway, we got to move on.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna keep on watching. I need to know how this ends at this point, and that's it. I just need to know how this ends.
How badly this ends.
Yes, and so I don't know. I still want to keep watching.
There are no words.
I'm gonna make one prediction.
What?
I'll be really rewarded if the prediction is true.
Go for
Magda is short for Magdalene. Magda is Mary Magdalene. She's taking revenge on humanity because Jesus didn't pick her as a bride.
Right.
I'm going to say that.
So we're going to find out.
Oh, okay.
We're going to find out that her full name is La Magdalena.
Oh shit! Hold on.
That's
really good.
She's the rejected wife of Jesus Christ.
The sister to Santa Muerte.
But rejected. Well, he just never got married. He got killed.
Well, yeah.
Debatable.
I mean, there's some people say he was married to her.
Right.
In some,
we're going to get into a debate about the historical Jesus. It's going to be a different thing.
I hope they go into that. I don't know. It would be more. It would be
nice. I don't know. They've got to pull some freaking.
They need to pull some story out of their butthole right now.
Put on their rally caps and like hit a fucking homer. It's like, wow. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to our next topic, which is what do you think will be the new normal of geek entertainment, considering the pandemic and our current civil rights situation? What do you think when this all settles down, if it ever does settle down, what is going to be the new quote unquote normal for the geek industry, geek entertainment?
I think we're going to be seeing a lot more, hopefully, but I do think this is what's going to happen. We're going to be seeing a lot more POC stories in Hollywood,
right?
As well as the geek entertainment industry, particularly with Black people.
Right.
So that I think is pretty much certain because even now, in the wake of the protests, they're already pressuring Hollywood to take on more Black showrunners, not just writing assistants and PAs, but actual showrunners. So we're going to see a lot more color on our screens, ladies and gents.
I think that's already what the trend has been.
Yes.
I think this is like
even more so.
Even more so. I mean, gosh, I still tell people about again, the contrast between when I first started acting and kind of roles that you saw for Asian Americans and now, or people of color in general, and the kind of roles that you see now there's definitely a market improvement, but it's just, I think this is going to push it into a new level.
Yeah, because we're getting BIPOC storytellers now. It's not just in the casting rooms. We're looking at showrunners, directors, writers, producers, executive producers. So that's why I think it's going to be different. More so.
Yeah. And I mean, before I answer that question, I just want to say it's sad that we had to do this. It took this long. We had to do this. We had to have 100,000 people march on the streets around the world and around the United States for this to happen. Even for the NFL to try to be like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't
change their fucking tune.
Yeah,
what a fucking bunch of punks, dude.
Just because they saw that. Because apparently white Americans and young white Americans understand it too. So I guess we should listen to all these other cries fucking of diversity and equality.
Spineless ass shitheads.
I mean, Hollywood industry has been like, we've been saying this to the executives and they've been like, well, okay. But, but only now when they see like, oh, all these people do care. Oh, we might be able to market and make money off these. Like,
that's exactly what it is.
Watch it.
Yeah. What we're seeing now is essentially we're entering a cultural crucible. There's never been a better time to actually put our racist institutions on fire and on trial for what they have done and been responsible for throughout all this time. And one example is in theater, actually. There was a letter that came out, Dear White American Theater. I'm sure all of you have seen it.
I haven't. Do tell.
Everybody from Issa Rae, Viola Davis, Lin-Manuel, Sandra Oh, Sterling K. Brown, as well as some people that I know and have worked with, community of self-identified Black, Indigenous, and people of color basically have written to white theaters saying, in a long and scathing letter, saying, we have seen you put us down. We have seen you not acknowledge us in the room, and we're calling on you and we're holding you accountable for doing better. And this has been true across the board. Like, even for people, I know somebody, I'm not going to say their name, I'm not going to say what institution they worked for, but they worked for an institution that's also for entertainment that was founded on perhaps some racist principles. Okay. And he and a group of POC from there are also calling out the group for that. So I'm seeing a lot of accountability in calling out major institutions for hey, even if you claim to be good, even if you claim to support Black Lives Matter on paper in your Instagram account, now's the time to actually change.
And that changes.
We're watching you now.
Even if what has been happening in the comedy community as of late.
That's what I was gonna bring. Yeah, go ahead, Earl. I think I know what you're gonna say.
Is that Dave Chappelle?
No.
That's something else.
I'm talking local,
okay.
I'll say it.
Second City.
Yeah, there you go.
What is it?
I've been sitting in those town hall meetings, and it's the same deal. People are
they were
called out. Yeah, the tea is being served at it
tell us.
It's the same thing. It's like, us as Black, Indigenous, people of color have been put down, have been not listened to. Yeah. And now is a time for reckoning. Mm-hmm. And I think, change on this level always, it seems to need, just historically, it seems to need some kind of catalyst. And I think the catalyst in this case is come. And it's time, like Jen said, this is a crucible. So, it's interesting. It's interesting where we're at.
So,
and it's
so more jobs for us, you guys?
I mean, hopefully
more marching for civil rights, more petitions, more,
hopefully we all survive because again, there's still a pandemic going on, which people seem to have forgotten. But
we might get sick.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Shit.
I think for the new normal of geek entertainment, hopefully, like you guys already said, more diverse stories, more diverse actors, writers, etc. But I think also it might slow things down, and the green projects that might be greenlit before, they might slow it down to be stop, or they have to actually take in consideration, is this worth not only spending money, is this worth risking people's lives to go to work?
And there's that whole thing.
Apparently it is.
The website of the new regulations came out because auditioning is starting again now.
They're making in-person auditions.
They're making people sign liability forms, waivers, basically saying you can't sue them if you get sick.
Oof.
I literally got a survey from my agent the other day that asked me exactly what I'm comfortable with. Am I comfortable flying in a plane to location? Am I comfortable showing up in person at an audition? Am I comfortable having people come into my home and help me shoot a commercial? How many people am I comfortable
being around?
Yeah, exactly. So
but it's just basically a waiver to see what you're comfortable with and what you're willing to risk in your health if you do.
I guess so. Yeah.
That's so unthinkable to me, because it's your comfort level and an individual's choice has no bearing on the science of the situation, which says that we are still moving forward. We haven't even peaked yet.
Right. We haven't. We were literally sitting. If we're looking at the COVID graph, we were sitting at a flattened curve, at the crest of a flattened curve. And then everybody was like, okay, we're good. Let's open up. Holy fuck. And like, we've not seen like a decrease in number of cases, yet we're forwarding forward.
I mean, all I gotta say though is that we are like beating out Sweden in trying to experiment this herd.
Wow, fucking God. Sweden fucked up, man. I mean,
what happened?
The whole herd immunity thing.
Yeah, that blew up in their fucking faces.
Wait, sorry. What happened?
That America's like, hold on, we got this.
Yeah, I know. Hold on.
See how much this shit we open up.
In Sweden, they practice zero social distancing, zero regulations. Let everybody out on the street, and let's just get everybody sick to build herd immunity. And guess what?
And then
people are dying in droves.
Oh, Jesus.
And there's still no immunity.
Oh my God.
It is the dumbest thing.
So you're telling me that there are things that Sweden doesn't do superiorly to everyone else?
To be fair, it wasn't completely baseless. It was just they miscalculated the ability of the virus to mutate.
But that's a high risk to take.
Super high risk
of your citizens.
The people were, I guess, willing to do it. I don't know. Like, but I think it's weird that Sweden. The thing about Sweden, like, if we're gonna go on that tangent, they are kind of like homogeneous in a sense. Like, and if anyone was to do
racially
homogeneous,
homogeneous. No, like milk. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. Racially homunculus.
What's your point, Walter? Keep going.
But America, on the other hand, is kind of a great thing to do that experiment, just because we are diverse.
Of genetic diversity.
Yes, exactly.
Genetic diversity increases the amount that like positive mutations will happen in order to adapt.
Right. Here's my deal though. It is inhumane to use your people and use mass numbers of people as a genetic experiment to see whether or not your baseless claims on science are correct or not.
Oh yeah.
It is entirely committing genocide without even saying anything, because only your poor and indigenous people have no access to medical resources. They're the ones dying in droves.
Right, that's who's dying right now. That's, the frontliners,
you're
essential
essentially
workers.
saying you don't care.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like, now it's not like the government made us do it. Like people are voluntarily going out to march.
For sure. I'm just saying
we're creating our own. We kind of inadvertently did our own. What's the word again?
Experiment.
Yeah, we did it ourselves. We volunteered ourselves.
Okay, as willing participants.
So one last push at this. What do you see? How do you see the future of gaming and all this due to our current situation?
Well, when Valorant was in like releasing beta, right? They were saying that like, okay, well, because we can't do these things in person because everything is shutting down due to quarantine, right? Due to Corona, we aren't able to like physically place servers or whatever. I'm not very familiar, but they weren't able to physically deposit servers or whatever at the places that they needed them in order to get the game up and running and out of beta, correct? So a lot of that depended on open beta players online who were willing to like jump on this new game and experiment with it, and even if it ran into glitches in order to like further this game's release. So I'm predicting that the future of gaming will be very reliant on mass user testing and less reliant on company testing and perfecting something before they release.
So they're going to go to the whole like the Steam Greenlight model, where you pay for an unfinished game or a game that's still like at a certain milestone, and it gets mass QA'd. I think that's a possibility. I just think on a smaller scale we're going to see a lot more digital delivery for everything, as not that we weren't seeing a lot of that, or like that wasn't the majority of it, but like it's going to go that way for a lot of things. The real question to me is like, and this kind of piggybacks on what you said, Jen. Like, how is the development cycle going to change for especially AAA games? AAA games where you have like entire teams of people in a localized place, like working on a single project. Like, how is that going to change?
I mean, I personally don't think it's going to change because a lot of those guys they telework and they probably just once a week and just, conference calls.
There is some
and
telework.
They can get their stuff done.
Ability to telework.
Yeah. I think just this pandemic helped the gaming industry in a sense. Like, I think it got more people addicted. That's doing well. They're doing well. Their employees can telework and still produce content and probably hit their timelines.
Yeah.
And then that PS5 coming out, oh man, it's just gonna get. I mean, they got people hooked this time, and they're just gonna keep playing, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And I at the same time, like, I do think that like more diverse creators will be hopefully pushed.
I think it's the same thing that in Hollywood because video gaming is also entertainment, right? And video game storylines are just as complex as television shows now.
I recently go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, the same thing. And as a voice actor yourself, who knows?
I recently got added to, yeah, right. I recently got added to a gaming industry collective group on Facebook, and a lot of it is that it's talking about representation from like previously unheard voices and people actually making initiatives to do that, which is a great thing, especially in the gaming industry, because like that was never the focus, even less so than in Hollywood sometimes. I mean, it's different because like there have been like certain franchises that have pushed like more inclusion, more representation, but like the vast majority of games do not. And
I mean, even like, oh, sorry, go ahead, finish it.
No, but yeah, it's I'm just saying it's good. It's for the gaming industry, but
and I mean, and Ang for now just brought up like, it probably boosted some streaming careers along the way too.
Like hours?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Like hours, maybe?
And well, just the animal talking, that kind of virtual
Animal Crossing
talk show.
Animal talking.
Animal talking? Oh,
the talk show that we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Like launching. I mean, it created. There's a virtual space for it,
where people actually want to do something like that. Whereas people always wanted something that was more live instead. But now that we're in this situation, like people are defaulting to that alternative, which is fine.
I also think streaming capabilities will be improved because now they're all stuck at home.
We'll see.
So many tech issues driving people mad day in, day out. They're like, we got to rehaul this whole system for better connection.
We have to change the entire infrastructure of the US.
Start over,
Yeah. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our cast. A lot of things happening. We're going to continue on with Penny Dreadful and Watchmen for our next episode. Thank you, everybody, for being in chat, for leaving all your awesome comments and questions. Again, hit us up on all the socials. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything, and Twitch, which is this channel. Everything at Pangeekery, PANGEEKERY. Come back Monday, next Monday, same time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. For more geeky talk, and check out our streams over the course of the week. So thanks everybody. Thanks to the cast, to the crew, and we'll see you all next week. I keep on forgetting my camera's here now and not here. So I keep on looking at this non-existent camera, but thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Arrivederci.